Hi, my name is Dan. I finished last in my fantasy football league. This week, I'm talking about my mission trip. What does a mission trip have to do with fantasy football? Well, I was in Youngstown, Ohio, which is only 76 miles from where the Browns play, 68 miles from where the Steelers play, and 67 miles from Canton, Ohio, and the Hall of Fame. But I didn't visit any of those. Instead, 11 of us made our way to Youngstown to help Steel Valley Church kickstart the renovations on their outreach center. Steel Valley purchased the building next to their church in hopes of turning it into a daycare and food pantry to serve people in their community. The building itself was a former daycare, but has sat empty for years, meaning lots of overgrowth and neglect. The goal presented to us for the week was to get things started on the project by cleaning up the outside and removing weeds and overgrowth, and clean up and start demo of the inside in a general effort to move the interior away from the 1970s. I remember a comment made when I was in college that we design buildings to withstand the elements of nature, and nature makes every effort to destroy them, or something to that effect. The statement doesn't mean a catastrophic weather event like a tornado, though half our group did experience a tornado on their first day in town when it hit the Poland Boardman area and where we were staying, south of Youngstown, knocking out power to the hotel and a majority of the restaurant and food options in the area. The statement, though, is meant to show that wind, rain, and vegetation will slowly reclaim what was built in its way. The longer maintenance is put off, the more effort required to return a building or site to a usable state. A good portion of our time at the building was committed to managing the vegetation that was working through its way through cracks in the asphalt, weeds making their way through shrubs, and vines and overgrowth on and around the building and fences. The roof was replaced recently, so while there is evidence of past water damage, the threat of further water damage wasn't a concern. That allowed interior efforts to focus on repairs and cleaning out trash so the next groups to come in can continue moving the project forward. Being the skilled workman I am, they wisely left me outside and let people who are used to performing those repairs get to work done. I did get a chance to exorcise some angst on the cabinet of catharsis, though. That means I hit a cabinet with a small sledgehammer. By the end of our time at the site, repairs have been made to help stabilize portions of the building damaged by water. A rat's nest of a telephone and coax cables running through the building had been removed, and the interior was moved forward in time to at least the 1990s, maybe early 2000s. While we didn't make pilgrimages to the Browns, Steelers, or Hall of Fame, we did check out a few of the restaurants and sites in Youngstown in our downtime. Actually, after the first day of work, my cousin Terry, his son Steven, who bought me this shirt, and I made a trip to Cleveland to visit their in-laws restaurant, Vincinato Pizza, which we learned is Italian for neighborhood pizza. You're probably smart enough to figure out that they serve Italian food and pizza, and both are very good. You'll drown in the portions, but it'll taste good as you drown. If you go, tell them Dan sent you. They'll stare at you with a confused look, you'll feel awkward as they do, and I'll be chuckling knowing this really could happen. We also went to Cassesi's MVR, an Italian restaurant in Youngstown that has been there since 1927. More good Italian food, and I had the spiciest item on the menu, the Hell's Shells. And well, it was spicy. Not chug milk while eating spicy, but clear your sinuses spicy. Oh, also they have bocce ball there, and not a couple alleys so you can play while you wait for a table bocce ball, but competitive bring your A game to league night bocce ball. You've probably noticed a trend with the food, so if you guessed we went to get tacos the next night, you'd be correct. Condado tacos. Not Italian, not exclusive to Youngstown, Still good food. We wrapped up our week of work with a trip to Executive Pastor Carmen's house, where they served what I can only call Puerto Rican empanadas. I can only call them that because I have no idea how to pronounce the actual name, so I'm sticking with empanadas. The food was fantastic. Time spent talking after was fantastic. The cheesecake was fantastic. I do have to admit, though, as a blonde-haired, blue-eyed Caucasian male that grew up in the Midwest, no matter how much time you take explaining the difference between Puerto Rican rice, Haitian rice, Bahamian rice, or any other rice, the only thing I will ever understand is it tastes really good when I eat it. Before leaving, we checked out a few Youngstown attractions, including Lanterman's Mill, a working grist mill that was not working at the time due to a clutch issue. We did learn that a paint stick can prevent two miter gears from functioning, though. That's helpful. We also stopped by the covered bridge adjacent to the mill and took a trip over the Princess Suspension Bridge. No comment. We finally took a trip to Youngstown State, hoping to catch a planetarium show, but it didn't work out. We did see their living periodic table, though, and a couple of interesting art pieces. I guess it's now time to go back to the initial question. What does the mission trip have to do with football or my punishment for finishing last? I could come up with some analogies about needing a coach like the pastors at Steel Valley to come up with a plan. Or I could point out that you need leaders like my cousin Dave and Terry to help execute the plan. Or that skill position people like Roger and Jeanette address specific items within that plan. But really, I just wanted to share.